So what I'll do is I'll introduce
We're live.
what we're working on, and then you're going to take it from you know into the guide. So first week.
Exactly, and we are already live.
Okay. All right, so we're live.
Yeah, we're live.
Thanks for letting me know. There's usually like a giant red light in my room that goes off, but I forget it's in the top left-hand corner. So, hey, Michael, how's it going?
It's awesome. Great to see you again, my friend. How are you?
Good, good. So we're no longer making each other smarter. I hope you liked the graphic we put together for our kickoff. In fact, it went from kickoff to liftoff. Somewhere I found these two pictures of these astronauts. I'm like, hey, I can crop our faces in there very easily. So we'll just call this the official Build Your Tribe liftoff. And I had this whole thing in my mind of like a giant countdown clock and then like smoke coming out of our screens. And either way, we'll do that. We'll try and do that next time. But anyhow, welcome everybody to Build Your Tribe. Today is Liftoff Day, May 20th. Put that in your calendar because this is the day your life will change, hopefully for the better. And Michael and I had a really interesting conversation about not stressing you out with everything that we're going to be working on. But today really is about just focusing on this first week, getting our fundamentals kind of in place, getting our mind in the right place as well. And so even though this is a 30-day challenge, what we really want you to do is not get overwhelmed with all the things you feel like you need to be doing, but really start crafting some new habits so that you can effectively build your own tribe. And remember, we are building a tribe together, but ultimately you take the information, the tools, and the resources that we're going to be sharing with you, and you use this to go out and build your own tribe. So that is the critical key here. This isn't about us trying to create some new online community, although we feel like we're starting to do that a little bit, but really this is about how you go out and build your own tribe. So today, Michael's going to take the reins on some of the things you need to be working on. I'm going to give you a high level and a sneak peek into your top 58. We'll have some video content and a follow-up midweek during the week next week, just to check in, see how you guys are doing. If you're struggling on any level, obviously we want you to continue to communicate and reach out to us because we want you to have as successful of a 30-day challenge as possible. I will tell you, building these habits, if you're not doing so already, it's a little bit of a shift. And this is where Mike and I, during the week, we're going to be sending out some tips, some ways that you can really latch on to this concept and how it will benefit you in the long run. So it's not here you go, guys, and set you off, and we'll see you next Friday. We're going to be checking in with you during the week, and obviously we want you to come back to us with anything that you're struggling with or any successes that you're having, because we do want to share those stories every week as well. So Michael, let's get into what week one looks like.
Absolutely. So thank you for the great intro, Scott. And yes, I just wanted to emphasize it to anyone listening that the best place to ask questions and to celebrate your wins is in the community. And that is in the LinkedIn group on just under Build Your Tribe, but maybe better if I share my screen here, you can see where you can find it. In this, when you go into the post that you are watching this on, just click on see more, and at the bottom here you will find the join the LinkedIn group under 2. This is the perfect place for you to get your questions answered. We are in the group several times a day. We are posting there regularly also, Scott and I, and so you will find any resources that you need there, any questions that you may have about today's content and about Scott's video on the Magic 58, then you will find that in that group. You can ask questions there, and absolutely do celebrate your wins, whatever they are for you. You know, it doesn't have to be a client win or anything like that, but it can also be something like you've always been wanting to have a good conversation with somebody on LinkedIn who you admire, and you just reach out to them and you have that conversation. You know, that's an amazing win. We want you to do that. And so please celebrate those wins. And if you have questions about how to do this, by all means, ask the questions there. Okay, so without any further ado, let's get into the agenda. This is the 30-day challenge starting today. Besides the LinkedIn group, just go to buildyourtribe.co/guide, where you find a free-page guide with 2 templates that you can then print out and track your progress. I'm going to cover that later on, but this guide is your main point of focus for this 30-day challenge. Good. Quick recap. This is the timeline for the next few weeks. This is the 30-day connection challenge. We'll focus on this. We have the collaboration challenge later on, but that's not as important now. And what we'll be doing in days 1 to 8, this is from today to the 27th of May, we will work on optimizing your LinkedIn profile. We will collecting your list of 58. This is Scott's domain. We will be posting daily, and if possible, if you can find the time to do that, already start reaching out to your list of 58. That one is an optional. The last one is optional. The other 3 are, well, as mandatory as a free challenge gets, all right? But please, we strongly recommend that you do that. And then from days 9 to 30, from the 27th of May until 18th of June, it's, again, daily content, LinkedIn Lives, and reaching out to your list of 58. Okay, but we're going to focus 100% today on this. What are we going to do in the first week of the 30-day connection challenge? First of all, profile optimization. That's the big one, okay? Because many people get that wrong. They format their profile as a CV. Very often they format it as a CV, you know, where they list their accomplishments, rather than talking about what they can do for their clients. So before we get into the fun stuff, we have to cover a little bit of boring stuff. Very quickly, this is not much work to do, but please do optimize your privacy settings, right? Because too many people, very often, sometimes we get comments here and we see LinkedIn member, right? And that is because your privacy settings are too strict. When we don't see the name of the person commenting, it means your privacy settings are too strict. So first of all, under account preferences and syncing options, this is just a small one to do in case you are quite competitive, because when you have this on as yes, people also viewed, it means that your competitors will be shown. Okay, and while you, of course, want to be nice and generous in building your tribe, there's no need to show your potential clients the way to your competitors. So change this, toggle this to no, and that will then change this default setting of people also viewed on your profile to people you may know. Okay, it's a subtle change, but it's quite important. So that's a small one. Here, you can just take a screenshot of this. I'm not going to go through every single one of them, but it's important that you are as visible to your network as possibly, right? So just have everything open to everyone, even allow yourself to be messaged. There is a great deal to be learned if you allow other people to just message you, even if they are not connected with you. Sure, if you get 100 of these a day, then maybe you want to curb that. Most people don't get that. I actually ran a survey once when I asked people, how many actually unsolicited pitch message do you actually get? And it turns out it was less than 1 a day. So people always complain, like do the drama thing. Oh my God, I'm getting so many unsolicited pitch messages. And in reality, it's quite low, right? And you can learn from that. You can learn good approaches. So make it as open as possible. And then the share profile update. This is a small one, but it's quite annoying because you will be making quite a few updates here. Change this to no. So share profile updates with your network. You don't want to be seen in the news feed of, oh, John Smith has changed his profile photo. You know, nobody wants to see that. So change that to no. Good. And now after the boring part, those were the most important settings to change. Let's get into the areas to optimize. First of all, switch into creator mode because you will be creating quite a lot over the next 30 days. So that's first thing. Then you will optimize, we'll look at your name, your profile image, your background image, your headline, your about section, your featured section, company description, work history, and recommendations. And what I'm going to do now is instead of giving you some boring death by PowerPoint, we are going to look at quickly my profile so that I have my mouse working out so that we can just cover those things. And of course, now on cue, somehow for some reason, my profile picture is not showing. Just It's very straightforward. Make it professional. You know, if your profile picture is a snapshot, don't have a snapshot, have a proper profile picture. It's worth it. And these days, photographers are extremely easy to come by. Okay, now the background image, now it's showing the live, so it's a little bit meta, what we're seeing here. I'm going to scroll down soon. But generally, the profile image, the background image, change it to, if you don't have one, create one. There's many different options that you can do here. I've collected some great background images. If you don't have something like what I have, where I'm posting about the Build Your Tribe challenge, it's like a great visual image that, of course, Scott made. He's the graphic genius in this group. But you can also do something much more simple, right? You can do something like this or something like this. You know, you can just search around, maybe invest a little bit, even if it's like $10 for a really nice background image. It is so evocative, and it gives like such a good impression of you if you have something nice. It could even be a snapshot that you made if it's a good one from, for example, a place that matters a lot to you, right? Or it can be like just a straightforward pitch to whatever it is that you're selling, right? So do look around a little bit of what you find, what people have as great profile images. I'm going to stop using my mouse because it's not working. This one is great, for example. Founder at Starfish Parenting. What a great visual that is, right? This lady, you know, the story changer, you know, just I love the color combination here. Then this one, also great. Right, so there's so much that you can do. Put a little bit of effort into your background image and the profile picture combination. Also, what I found that works really well, have the profile picture be standing out, right? So I have this pink halo around my face. What also works if you have some background here, because look, if I open this, then look at who stands out. This guy stands out because it's yellow background. My wife stands out because she follows our recommendations, and Priyasha stands out because, and Azamat stands out because he has background in blue, right? So strong colors work well because on the margins it will matter. You know, for your personal brand, it will matter that you have a good presence here. And so that's so interesting. Now let's look at this. Look, live 17 people are watching. We're seeing this now, and here in StreamYard I see one person watching allegedly. Right? So that's just the wires are at crossroads. Okay, so now let's look at so we have name. Obviously, some people like Scott, they like to add a moniker like the Refluencer. That is perfectly fine. Just don't make it too long, because sometimes when you want to tag someone, if it's like over 2 lines, it's a little bit too much. So try to limit it, but whatever rocks your boat, put it in your name. And then your headline should be something like about what you do, right? Many people say just the CEO at Content 360, CEO of Alpha Lead Academy in my case, right? Don't do that. People are not really that interested in your title. They are interested in what you can do for them. So I say I help aspiring consultants grow by 100K a year. We support you until you succeed, 3 times revenue guarantee. So by the way, your profile is absolutely fine to be salesy. This is your shop window, right? This is where you want to get people to connect with you because they need what you have. So therefore let's just close this. Therefore the profile can absolutely be salesy, okay? Then we have some resources. Here it is where you turn creator mode on. That's fairly straightforward. Here in the featured section, put something that you want to promote. I'm promoting this course that I created, Conversations That Close. So just put it there, right? Featured section is also great to be used for client testimonials. You can upload a little icon for client testimonials and link to actually, YouTube videos where you interview one of your clients. Their activity feed is fine. And then we look at the about section. This is the most important one as far as selling yourself is concerned. I recommend the following structure. Here is a little bit of an introduction that tells people why you do what you do. It can be like a fun anecdote or just something that makes you personable, because you need to, these are the first 2 lines that show before people see the see more button. And that matters because you want to draw people in. If you merely were to say, yeah, this is what I do, I help consultants grow their revenue, it's like, yeah, there's many people doing that. So it's not as interesting. And you stand out by sharing a personal story. I'm sure this will resonate with you, Scott, that, if you share your love of dogs, for example, that brings people closer to you, because there's a shared interest. I share a story of how I was fired, and therefore I do what I do now, right? Because many people can empathize with that. Many people have been fired in their life, and many people had like a negative event to then lead to something good, like in my case. So that is what I'm sharing here, and that brings people to me. And then this structure is really, really recommended that you do. And you can even do the following. You can just, if you like my about section, just grab it, copy it, and use the same headers and use the same structures that I have, right? Because for me, I get at least one inbound lead. These days it's more. I get like 2 inbound leads a week, purely based on my content, and people then check out my profile, and then they connect with me. And so it's really recommended that you at least consider doing this. So what I do and who I serve, that should be the most important one. And of who I serve, for who am I? Then why it works. This is where you describe a little bit your special sauce. Very important to also include results here. I have some of my testimonials mentioned here. If somebody said something about you in the testimonial section, then just restate it here. Okay, because many people don't scroll to the testimonial section, just use it here. And then call to action. Ready to talk, send me a LinkedIn DM and we can talk. Okay, so that's the about section. Then in the experience section, your previous experience is important that you also list it so that people get a little bit of a context of what you have done in the past. But very important is that actually, first of all, have a company page. It's very easy to create a company page on LinkedIn. You don't have to post content from it. Nobody really cares about company page content. But what it matters for is that you have a place to link your, sorry about that. You have a place to link your company to, right? So you are sort of part of that company, and it looks much more professional to have your logo here than this gray, boring icon that doesn't really say anything. So even if you are just a one-man, one-woman band, create a company page for yourself, even if it's Joe Smith Consulting, give it a logo that you create on Canva, and boom, you have your little company page there, okay? In the company page also, this is, again, another opportunity to sell, right? So again, restate what we do, how we do it, special sauce, want to know more, book a discovery call. Okay, so this is just very, use every opportunity to sell yourself. And then there's some further info, and then recommendations. Get some recommendations for yourself. Ask people actually actively for it, right? Because it's many people are very happy with having worked with you, but it just didn't occur to them. So if you just ask them for a recommendation, this helps a lot, especially on LinkedIn, because people can just click through to your client and see who it is, what kind of person you worked with, okay? And especially if your recommendations are a little bit older, not meaning the people, but meaning the recency of the recommendations, ask some recent clients who you've had, or anybody who can give like a character recommendation on you to also do that. Cool? Good. And that is pretty much it. Let me just quickly check back here if I've covered. So we covered headline, about section, feature section, company description, work history, and recommendations. Yes, we have covered it all. So let me just go back to slideshow. And if you want to know more on profile optimization, I did 2 months ago with my friend Anrik, we did this profile review session where we looked at 10 people who submitted their profiles, and we subjected them to partially quite harsh critiques. So if you want to know a bit more, then please do check that out. The link is also in this post. So just open the post, click on see more, and there I've linked to it at the bottom. It's a really good video where we go really knees deep. And there's even one person where Anrik says her profile is much better than yours, Michael. So, you can learn quite a lot from that. Good. So that is everything on profile optimization. Now let's quickly look at the topic of posting daily. This part of the 30-day challenge is that you actually post daily. Okay. That I know for some people it could be quite daunting, but if you watch the training, which I've put up on buildyourtribe.co/content, it's going to be much easier for you because we basically cover a couple of fundamentals. This is the first part. This is actually from my premium coaching program. I've just taken these 2 modules from it because I thought, why not? Let's just hand that out there and give people the opportunity to learn from it and use that. So this is quite some exclusive content here that I've put together for my clients, and it has 2 parts: the basics and advanced. Once you watch this, you will have you should have zero problems posting content. And if you still do, come into the LinkedIn group again and ask questions there, and feel free to ask questions there. Good. And that is everything, right? So remember, we are on this point. What do we need to do? Let's go back to quickly to recap. Optimize LinkedIn profile. We covered that. Post daily. I just covered that. And now it's going to be all about collecting your list of 58. So I'm going to give Scott the floor now. And Scott, you will tell us about how to collect the list of 58.
Absolutely. Thank you, Michael. Great points. And I wanted to just post out or put this out there for food for thought. Don't think of posting that you have to have some giant philosophical human advancement to make everybody's lives better. You can literally, if you are struggling for something, or if you want to just vent, you can absolutely just put something out there that's irritating you about the world, about life, or about business. You'd be so amazed at how even just a small 1 or 2 sentence can strike up a lot of conversations. So just want to make sure that you don't feel like that. And of course, if you're following a lot of people that do put a lot of thought and effort and long form into their posts, you're feeling like, I don't have time for that. Well, the whole point here is we want you to connect. This is the connection challenge. So whatever you feel like you're posting, use it in a format that actually brings you closer to A, your target audience, or B, to somebody that you follow. You can absolutely include me in a post if you want to just tag me by @Scott Webb. So it's really about connection. So posting, we think, so I actually work with a client who tried LinkedIn for like a month. And he said, I didn't get a single sale from posting. I said, well, okay, how many times did you post over a month? I don't know, like 3 times. I said, okay. So his goal is 1 post equals 1 sale. And I'm just going to lay this out there. The reality is that will not happen. But if it does for you, great. Make sure you share that in your success stories next Friday. However, we're going to talk about connections. So I'm going to share my screen, and hopefully this works today. Let's delete that one from last week. Here we go. So all these little allow, and can I do this? And yes. All right. And it is thinking right now. Okay, so here we go. Go ahead. All right, so your top 58, and if anybody's been following me for any amount of time, Apple Orchard is my thing. It's a concept. It's not just the name of my company, but it is a structure. It's a framework. I call it a cookbook. We know a lot of times when we're trying to make a dish for something, and we're not used to making it out of repetition, so we refer, to a cookbook. And a cookbook is filled with what? Recipes. Well, what's in the recipes? Lists. A list of your ingredients, a list of the things that you will need in order to prepare that dish. And Apple Orchard is the ultimate list builder. And so I want you to go to buildyourtribe.co/content. You can download Top 58. You can also go to appleorchard.io. It is the framework I give away. You can have it. There's in addition to that, a 24-page guide on exactly every step you need to take to build your list of your top 58. And why your top 58? Well, it's broken down into technically your top 8 and then your top 50. So we will focus on right now your top 8. And one thing I want to point out, if for some reason you have zero interest in doing the 30-day challenge, connection challenge as we've laid it out, if you don't want to post daily, if you don't want to connect with people on LinkedIn, I'm going to give you the out right now, because that's totally fine. In fact, for the most part, my entire journey on LinkedIn has just been to connect and to post enough information out there to let people know I'm not dead. However, my strategy has changed over the past few months. I'm very active. And because of that, the amount of people that actually read my stuff has moved into, on average, I have 400% increase over the last 90 days since I've recommitted to being kind of a thought leader and kind of establishing my authority on LinkedIn a little bit more. But before that, I was active only from the point of, I want to make sure people knew I wasn't dead. Because why? Well, if you have a list of 58, and this is what it looks like if you actually print it out. And I have actually had people email me and say, dude, you're killing my color printer. And I'm like, that's okay, just put it on black and white settings. But I'm going to give you an out too for those that are trying to save the planet through color ink. Just get a piece of paper, a blank piece of paper. For my old Transamerica folks, I still have an old notepad that was given to me that's got a bunch of lines on it. If you don't want to do that, a blank piece of paper. You know what else will work, Mike? A napkin. This is how simple this concept is. A napkin and a pen will actually get you started on connecting to your top 58. So what we want to do really is focus on the individuals, and these can be clients, these can be advocates, these can be people that you collaborate with, like Michael and I. These can be people that you have met at mixers, or you've got a drawer full of business cards, right? That you may have collected over a bunch of networking events, but you've never really done anything. Maybe you sent them a text, maybe you sent them an email, but that was the extent of it. The top 8 are the individuals in your life and your business that actually move your needle forward. All right. So I'm going to, my top 8 consists of some of my very best clients, but I also have 2 people in my top 8 that have never purchased a thing from me. They're not clients. They've never downloaded Apple Orchard. They don't even care about Apple Orchard. But you know what they do care about? Is they care about my success. So you know what they do? They send me a ton of referrals. In fact, I have a couple of people on my list who work for corporations who, at every chance they get, they talk about, there's this guy named Scott Webb. He has this thing with apples. I can't really explain it, but he delivers. He's an amazing person to work with. And so they're part of my top 8. Now, your top 8 also, if it includes clients, these are going to be the people that are part of your lifetime value, right? So I have a client here who is terrible at referring me. He's terrible, but he's been with me for 11 years. So think about the type of clients and customers that have been with you through thick and thin. And the challenge I have with that client, just to lay this out there, is I just have to educate him a little bit better than what I have. But the point of it is they spend money with me every single year, year after year after year. They've been on retainer for 11 years. Thus, they are one of my top 8. But a top 8 client also are those people that are interested in your success. They are, without a doubt, would refer you to their list. So let's talk about how we can engage our top 8, and we'll get into the other top 50 come into this. But right now we're focusing on the top 8. So step 2, if you'll notice in the column to the right of your top 8, and just so you know, we consider these your tree. Just think of this as a big tree with a big trunk. It's very mature and it's filled with apples. Okay, so that's why I want you to start looking at at these individuals, not as dollar signs, not as data points, not as checks or money in the bank, but think of these as actual people that are related and connected to other people. So how do we really make sure that we have cemented those relationships with our top 8? Well, I want you to go in, and when you print out the top 8, you'll actually have an area to write this on. But again, a blank sheet of paper, a napkin works just as fine. But start thinking about their story. How did you meet them? How long have you been working with them? Just like I referenced one of my clients, I've been working with 11 years. How long have you been working with some of your best clients? Do you have an anniversary date? Is that something special in their mind, in your mind? If it isn't, my opinion would be to make that special in their mind and in your mind as well. How did you meet? Was it through a referral? Was it at some type of meetup? Was it were you recommended? Were they a cold call? Did you find them on social media and then they became one of your clients? Why is this important? Because when you actually go back and connect the dots on your top 8, you will start to see there's a pattern that develops. This is how I know that 2 of my top 8, who although are not clients, give me a substantial amount of my revenue because they continually refer new business to me. So that's important. And it's important that I honor that relationship as well. Now, because those people, those 2 individuals are not entrepreneurs, they don't own businesses, I can't really help them specifically like make more revenue or increase revenue or increase client acquisition, because that's not the business they're in. But if they're looking to advance in their career, or they're looking to change jobs, or one of my friends, she constantly hits me up for technology recommendations, like I want to buy a new laptop or want to do this. So I'm always there for her. So are you there for the people in your top 8, right? And so when you have that type of relationship with those, what ends up happening is those bonds become stronger. And because you're continually trying to improve their lives, it becomes very reciprocal. It's just this, I call it the circle of life. You make their lives better, and in turn, they're going to make your lives better. But it only happens when it becomes a focal point. Another part of this, what are their hobbies? What school did they go to? What do they love to eat? Where do they go on vacation? What kind of cars do they drive? Well, why are these important? Because if you want to reward your top 8 with anything, you have these points of interest already in your CRM or in your data file. They went to this school. So I have a client that is an Alabama alma mater. Well, Alabama wins the national championship every single year. But when they lose, I give him a ton of grief. And so that strengthens our relationship and our bond. What about their kids' names? How long have they been married? So these things are all ways to create now a more relevant and relatable relationship with your top 8. So very important. Step 4 is cultivate. And we're going to go into these 2 more in depth in a video that will be available for you guys next week. But we'll go into how you can cultivate now those relationships into new opportunities. Remember, this is connection. But this is what I want you to get from this point from today, since this is the kickoff to the challenge. Your top 8, that's right here. Your top 8, I want you to go and connect with them on LinkedIn. If they're not, everyone that you work with is going to be on LinkedIn. But if they are, reach out to them, connect with them, make them a first connection. Same thing. Now we're going to talk about your top 50. How do I find my top 50? Most people say, I don't even work with 50 clients. Well, this isn't about actually having 50 clients. This is about having 50 individuals, again, who are at least at surface level invested in your success. So Michael and I have known each other for what, 4 or 5, 6 months now, but I'm invested in his success, and I can guarantee you he's invested in mine. But we've only had a 6-month relationship. Well, guess what? Michael is on my top 50. You'll make my top 8 at some point. Don't worry. But the top 50, here's where they come from. This little guy right here. called your smartphone. I guarantee you have over 100 connections. In fact, on average, most people have 150 connections in their smartphone. So that can go in this list right here. Now you're like, well, they don't make up my ideal clients. I'm not asking you to sell to them right now. I just want you to connect to them. And if they're on LinkedIn, that's a great place to start. And then I want to throw this in here too. For all of the 44 that have signed up currently, make sure that you go out and become first connections with the other 44 that are on here. So if you don't know who those are, we will put a list out, but you can literally go into the group and connect with them there. But become first connections with the people that are in your the Build the Tribe Challenge. So the point of the lesson here is that we want to make sure that you're connecting to the people that you're working with on a regular basis and the people that are invested in your success. Now, it might take a little bit of time to sit there and evaluate who those are, but that's what this exercise is designed to do, to evaluate who are the people that help you move the needle, not only in your business, but also your life, because they are part of your existing tribe. Our goal with Build Your Tribe and using the Top 58 exercise is so you can build your tribe to make it bigger. And maybe if it's not even bigger, make it absolutely more resourceful for you. So in fact, I can tell you, not everybody stays in my top 58. I have people that move in and out of my top 58 all the time. I have a new client that's so gangbusters about Apple Orchard. He is referring me and referring me and referring me and referring me. He went from my top 50 into my top 8 just in the last month. So make sure that you're continually evaluating the people that are within your circle of influence, the people that are referring new clients and new business to you, and also those people that you want to connect with. That's a huge one. And we'll talk about that because that becomes part of Cultivate and part of their apples. And we'll go into that in a much more in-depth tutorial in a video that'll be available at buildyourtribe.com/content on Wednesday when we will do our next check-in. So that's a lot, but don't get overwhelmed. Remember, we're here for you. Our goal is to help you change your habits, to start thinking about people, not as merely numbers, but actually part of your tribe so that you can collectively grow together, which is exactly why we're doing Build Your Tribe. So that is a highlight of Top 58, Michael. I can't wait to start working with people on a more individual basis as they need help, and always reach out to me through my DM. Or if you have a question about your top 58 after you download it, then absolutely reach out to me. So I think we've got a week's worth of work to do, Mike.
Yeah, absolutely. Just a quick note here. It's actually buildyourtribe.co, not .com.
Oh,
right? So that people don't
my bad.
Yeah, no worries. So just buildyourtribe.co/guide/content, and there will be.
There we go.
There will be exactly awesome. So it is already under the content link. Great, excellent, very good. Thank you so much, Scott. Like a couple of. By the way, there's also a podcast that you and I did. This is where we actually started talking, and you actually went into quite a bit of detail into your method. I think now you covered approximately the same level of detail, but I will also link to that conversation of ours at the bottom of the post so that people can check it out, because I think you said some really interesting things there. And that interview that I did with you was actually the start of our conversation, because I really liked what you said. So definitely worth checking that out.
And also, too, just everyone that's watching, and for those that couldn't make it today, obviously you're not watching, but we will have this video on the website. There'll be a link to it on the homepage with replay, and you can watch exactly the past make each other smarter videos, plus the kickoff video for each week.
One quick question that I had for you on your list of 58 is first of all, how often do you update, and where do you keep it? Do you always like print out a new thing, or do you have it somewhere in a spreadsheet? How do you keep it?
So that's a great point. I literally use Google Sheets.
Yeah.
So I have a Google Sheet. In fact, if you, I will put a link in the guide. There is actually a link to download a copy of my Google Sheets. So I will make sure that, and if you have any problems getting that, let me know. But I just use Google Sheets. You can use a CRM. You can use, there's a ton of free software out there. Obviously, if you use Excel, anything like that, it's just spreadsheet. It's just an area, a place to keep your list. I do keep my top 8 printed out. And because I go through, especially my top 8 doesn't move that much. I do have a couple of people that have come into my top 8 this year, and a couple of people left my top 8. But I do keep my top 8 printed out because I'm continually reaching out to those individuals, always asking, how can I help them? What can I do for you beyond just our core business or core relationship? So, but yeah, if you have a Google spreadsheet, Excel spreadsheet, or whatever, Notepad, doesn't matter. The point is those names need to be off of your phone, out of your brain, and onto a list so that you can continue to nurture those relationships.
Perfect. Love it. Good. So just a couple more topics here before we wrap up. It's important that you create a baseline here as the 30-day challenge starts. It would be good if you just establish this baseline for yourself. As of 20th of May, I have this many followers, because hopefully as you are doing the work that is part of the 30-day challenge, hopefully your follower growth will increase. So it would be good to track that. So how many followers do you have now? Also, how many profile views have you had in your last 90 days, right? If you just look into your profile, there it is. It's this graph that shows the up and down. Just look at how many profile views have you had and write that down somewhere. And then in the last 30 days, I've posted this many times. Just quickly count that through. And if you want, this is an optional one, also do average engagement last 30 days. So just type out how many likes, how many comments you've had on all your posts. It's quick. You can just jot that down as you go through your last posts. And this will be the baseline. As you are doing the work of the 30-day challenge, you will have better results. You will gradually improve how you create content and the amount of traffic that this generates. So we want to see the increase, right, of how your metrics are growing. And then finally, in the guide, you will also find these 2 beautiful sheets where you can just start jotting down, and always place an X on the day where you complete your task. So give yourself a goal. We mentioned it's right now, it's profile optimization, compiling the list of 58, and starting to do content. So for now, for the next week, just tick off whether on every day you have posted, and that's pretty much it. You don't have to do more. Of course, compile your list. There's going to be like a big X at the end of the week. Compile your list of 58 and optimize your LinkedIn profile. There's going to be 2 big X's at the end. And then from when is that going to be? On the 27th, you can start placing X's for every single task that we have. So that is reaching out to your list, doing content every day. And ideally, that's like the big bonus, if you also do LinkedIn lives with people. Because remember, as you are posting content, you're going to get more attention. That usually, the content that you post on a daily basis gets you attention. What it does not get you necessarily is trust. It builds it over time. But what is really good for trust is long form content where you're actually being seen speaking on camera. It could be just you giving a presentation on LinkedIn Live, okay? And don't worry if you don't get too many viewers. That's perfectly fine. It's going to be there for a longer time. Plus the video, you can then put it up on YouTube later on. And there it has a much longer shelf life. But it's just important that you are present and people also see how you talk. It's not just your writing, but also how you present yourself. And even better is when you do an interview with somebody who you want to give the stage to. You want to shine a spotlight on them. and just make sure that it's someone who you want to build a tribe with. So just do it. I just recently spoke to one of my clients who is really very keen to get into hedge fund manager space, and he was about to post a talk, or he wanted to interview a lady who is a renowned chocolat mousse cook in France. So I was thinking, oh, sure, it's a great person to interview. Must be fun to talk to her. But your goal is to get into the hedge fund space. This is where you want to build your tribe in. I'm not sure that your typical hedge fund manager will appreciate an interview especially because the interview would have been in French. So they're not gonna care. So make sure that the interviews you do with people are such that they help you in growing your tribe. That this is actually the area where you want to be. Good. And that's that. You can tick off your next steps. Download the 3-page guide to know more about the challenge. I think by now you know everything about the challenge you have to know. Just make sure you get the guide. Join the LinkedIn group if you haven't already, and submit your email at buildyourtribe.co for announcements. And block your calendar for Fridays at 6 p.m. CET or noon EST, where we will, we're now kicked off, but we will also every week, we will be here on LinkedIn Live, submit questions in the group. We will then cover them on the live, and we will give you more detailed instructions and deep dives. For example, next week, what I plan to do is, how do you actually set up a live with a person you want to interview? How do you prepare for the interview? How do you ask them actually, the wording you can use, and all of that. So we're going to do a mix of deep dives and questions that you post in the group, okay? And then most importantly, number 4 is do the work. And that is pretty much it. Anything to add, Scott, or should we get into questions? There have been a few questions posted.
Yeah, let's get into questions.
Good. So we have LinkedIn user, but I saw this is from Melanie, actually. So Melanie, you're a perfect example here of your settings being too tight. So your privacy settings are too tight so that you only show up as LinkedIn user here. You're asking, will you peek at our profiles during the challenge? Absolutely. If you want, just let us know. Again, in the group, post that, hey, tag Scott and myself. You want us to look at your profile, and we will do that, no problem at all. Great tip on Maria asks, am I the only one for which the live is buffering? Okay, I hope this has been improved by now. But anyway, the live will be available for later viewing. So I'm sorry if there are technical problems here. And then question from Alan, quick question regarding followers. Is that the same as contacts? No, not necessarily. Usually there's a huge overlap, of course, but you can find your followers by, let me just quickly pull this up. And you just go into your profile. And you look at here, when you are in creator mode, you see this already up here, how many followers you have. And you can also see it somewhere here under activity. So these are your followers. You can click on them. You can see who is following you. And your connections are under my network. So it's a very, Alan, to your question, it is a very big overlap. Like the Venn diagram are nearly identical. But the more famous you are, the bigger the followers will be, of course, because LinkedIn has a 30,000 connection connection limit that you can have. So it's almost the same, but not quite. Cool, and that's it. No more questions.
Okay.
Good stuff. Well, and with this, let's do the work.
We're off.
Really enjoyed having you on. Thank you for all the questions. And let's do the work. Any questions that you may have, ask in the group. Thanks a lot, everyone.
Okay, see you next week.
Ciao.